Let's go to London now and speak to John Hemmings, a career expert with the Royal United Services Institute. Thanks for being with us. Lee Myung-bak coming out with some fairly strong language, as have a couple of other world leaders. But is there actually any circumstance under which Korea or its backers can actually do anything in response here?
Well, there's very little they can actually do. I mean, in terms of more sanctions, I think they've ramped them up as far as they want to go. There is also really no chance of taking any sort of harder military answer, since Seoul is within artillery range of the border. So I think at the moment it's going to be diplomatic pressure. They'll probably put their heads together and try to find some sort of reaction that's a hard one, but at the same time doesn't push things too far to conflict.
Is there a question to be asked here as to what Seoul was doing conducting military tests in that region anyway? I mean, of course it's within their right, and of course they can claim that they weren't firing anywhere near North Korea. But why even take the risk with a country that is known to be so unstable?
It's a very good question, and I think that is probably being put forward to the military within certain circles in Seoul tonight. There is a question that they were firing live artillery. Having said that, I mean, we know that both sides carry out these types of exercises fairly regularly. So when you put it in that context, it's nothing new.
Well, the Sydney Morning Herald headline says North Korean dictator in waiting linked to deadly artillery attack. Are you sensing that there may be some domestic politics behind this as well?
There's always the assumption whenever North Korea carries out a test, a missile test of some sort, that it's for its domestic audience, either the military or the population. I don't doubt that this is also for the domestic audience. Having said that, the last that I've heard about Kim Jong-un is that he's actually moving throughout North Korea on an anti-corruption campaign, which is also another way of bolstering his support. So I'm not quite sure the link is being made direct yet, but we'll have to see. As you know, the regime is so opaque, it's very difficult for us to know that level of information as a fact.
And what of the events that Patty Culhane was speaking of a moment ago, this revelation that somehow they've managed to build a new nuclear processing facility under the noses of the world's intelligence community, and despite massive sanctions, which has come as a surprise to anybody. In that context, are these things related in any way?
I wouldn't have thought so. I tend to look at them as separate. The Northern Limit Line, which is the line in which the maritime border divides the two countries, has seen a regular pattern of events taking place. The two countries, after the 1953 armistice, never agreed on their maritime border. The waters sit astride very strategic water. They also have lots of rich fishing resources. So there seems to be a regular pattern of conflict between the two states that I don't think is related to the wider nuclear issue.
Let me posit a couple of hypothetical potentials then as to how they might be connected. I mean, on the one hand, maybe North Korea is trying to take some of the attention away from the revelation of this new nuclear facility. And on the other hand, there's long been this argument among some Korea watchers that North Korea tends to become at its most belligerent when it really wants to actually generate talks, and so makes a big noise to try and make sure it gets off on the most aggressive foot. I mean, is there a possibility that that's the case?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't stand firmly against either of those theories. This often becomes the case. I mean, Kim Il-sung, the founder of North Korea, spent the majority of his early period as a guerrilla campaigner against the Japanese. And a lot of his diplomatic tactics were passed down to his son, Kim Jong-il. And they tend to be short, sharp bursts to keep opponents off their balance. And so this type of event could come at the foot of the six-party talks being resumed. So there could be that link. The simple fact is we simply don't know. It could also just be a message being repeated on North Korea's unhappiness with the maritime border.
John Hemmings in London. Many thanks for talking to us.